Meanwhile, Lucasfilms debuted an exclusive cover of Star Wars featuring two trans non-binary characters in Jedi garb. The comic book series featured the two characters in honor of Transgender Day of Visibility, even saying, quote, "We support trans lives and we are passionate and committed to broadening our representation in a galaxy far, far away." So trans non-binary characters are in, but strong female lead characters like Gina Carano are out. She, of course, was the star of The Mandalorian before, one of the stars of The Mandalorian before she was canceled for, bucking the Hollywood narrative about Democrats and Republicans. Let's talk more about this and welcome in Stacy Washington, host of Stacy on the Right on Sirius XM. She's also co-chair of Project 21. Back with us again, Turning Point USA contributor, lawyer, and Republican strategist Aaron Elmore, and New York City Councilman Joe Borelli. All right, Aaron, first to you on this one. I mean, Transgender Day of Inclusion or whatever it was yesterday. Star Wars, again, when you have kids, especially when you have a daughter, and you're trying to find positive role models in popular culture for her to follow, and they keep getting canceled like Gina Carano, where are you supposed to look for this type of stuff? Aside from this panel right here.
This is a really strange message to send to our children. I do turn on the Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, and all they talk about is black or white or various things like this in identity politics. And I just don't think it's good for our children. I think children should see a world of people who can assimilate together without having to point out that they are slightly different. Let's focus on what's the same about all of us. We are Americans. This is one nation, and we should try to unify. And I think by pointing out all of our differences so vehemently and so vociferously, all it does is teach our children to be insecure and see themselves as different and create division. And this is really not the way that our founding fathers saw us as Americans. This is not really the way to build unity as an American country. And I think, honestly, it's bad for children. And to be honest, this is not what adults really need to be seeing. It doesn't matter if you're trans or you're white or you're black or you're a man or you're a woman. You're an actor. And
Right.
let's just try to, all of us, just say, okay, this is entertainment. Why does it have to be a political message about wokeism every time you turn on the TV, open a book, read a magazine? Let's just focus on entertainment for once, not kneeling or basketball. And it's crazy. It's crazy, crazy, crazy.
Joe, remember in the Star Wars movies originally when they were talking, droids are not welcome here, or we don't let Wookiees in this part, and we all kind of picked up from that as kids, like, oh, look, it's not cool to discriminate against droids, even though now I'm scared of robots, but droids or Wookiees or whatever. And we still got the message. You don't, judge people based on their looks or whatever, but they take this stuff too far. And, I'm just trying to teach my kids some basic lessons, and I'm not quite ready to go there when it comes to transgenderism yet. But of course, it's thrown in our faces all the time.
I don't know. I grew up in a decade known as the 80s where we were able to watch people like G.I. Joe or Last of the Mohicans or all these great, films that I grew up with where there wasn't any intervention of political beliefs or wokeism or lecturing by secret filmmakers who are trying to put things into the context that they want. I yearn for a day where we can just be mad at a company like American Airlines because they were late or your bag got lost, rather than how they happen to feel on Texas voter laws. I don't think companies, whether they're film companies or airlines or anything, really have a place weighing in on politics in the constant national discourse of the American body politic. Companies should stick to what they do best: fly people, make movies, sell products, etc. And the more they get involved with politics, I think the more they're going to suffer. Michael Jordan said it best: Republicans buy shoes too.
That's right. That's right. Stacy, when you look at this, the way the whole Transgender Day of Inclusion has been, done this week, everybody's weighing in on this, but some people don't necessarily feel like they need to talk about this with their kids yet. Do you think this is an accurate representation in terms of proportion of the population that has much attention as this issue gets?
No, if an alien landed here, because sci-fi is such a huge part of our culture, if an alien landed here in America today, they would think that transgenders were 30%, LGBT was 30%, and that heterosexuals were the minority. If you look at all of the shows, they're very represented on all of the mainstream evening shows on the regular networks where it's supposed to be family programming. And so parents are they're trying to force parents into a place where they can't actually not address this because kids will ask questions if they're watching television. But I just recommend to people, as a parent of teenagers, and our oldest is 21, I say to everyone, it's still under your control. You can decide what your kids watch, and you can decide what you discuss with them. Age appropriate conversations about sexuality and the human body and its properly named parts are a part of raising children. And it starts at the very beginning, as soon as they notice when, there's a difference between girls and boys, like their siblings and their mom and their dad. But I also want to just point out, with these two characters, I actually thought they already had non-binary characters in Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars buff. I've seen every movie. We own every movie on DVD or Blu-ray, and we've watched them multiple times. And my kids and I have discussed, we're like, oh, he seems like a non-binary character.
Yeah.
Ahsoka, I thought, was maybe a same-sex character. They didn't make it an overt thing, but I assumed Ahsoka was a same-sex character.
Well, now they have to make it, yeah, from the Star Wars Rebels series, right? Now they have to make it. They have to make sure it's explicit and everybody knows. Yeah. So whatever. All right, guys, stand by. I want to get to some breaking news real quick, and we'll go to the Capitol. We have a live shot we want to get to right now.